All right, what's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another pregame prediction video, and we've made it. Another Cowboys season ahead of us. Week 1, Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, here we go. Here's it out for Lamb. He's got it. He's gone. This is history. It's never happened in the history of the NFL.
Woo-wee! New intro. Let's go. New season. I'm excited. And look at it. Okay. I've been a little bit pessimistic. I've been a little bit hard on our boys. I understand that. But look, I am unbiased. I am realistic. But I am still a Cowboys fan by the wall, by everything that you see here. So I think we can all agree, however you feel about Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Dak Prescott, whatever it may be, when those boys with the star on their helmets march onto that field, and it's been months since we've seen them, it's always a good feeling. It will always be a good feeling no matter how you feel at this current state of this organization and franchise. But here we go. Cowboys football is back. I'm so excited to have each and every one of you watching again. I'm back. I'm going to be here all season long. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content. As you guys know, pregame prediction videos, postgame reactions, Madden predictions. We're going live this year with NFL picks as well on Wednesdays. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait. This is, I believe, my 4th season jumping in. So I'm very excited to see what happens with this team. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and it's going to be a ride. It's going to be an interesting season, but we're going to take it week by week, right? We're going to take it week by week. And, at this moment, I'm recording this on Tuesday, and you guys are going to see it towards the end of the week. I don't know what happened with Dak Prescott. I hope future Kyle is happy that Dak Prescott got extended, but I just don't know that at this current moment of filming. So if I missed that news and you're jumping in, well, this was filmed on Tuesday. And if it happened later in the week, you'll see the videos that I make on TikTok and Instagram and everything like that, but it's just not going to be on this pregame prediction video. But here we go, Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns. And I think really one of the major wins here is the fact that we're not playing the New York Giants on week 1, whether it was at home or away or whatever you want to say. I'm so glad we have a different opponent. I like the diversity of opponents on week 1. And I said this last year, and I said it the past few seasons. Week 1 is tricky because usually what you do on week 1 isn't really the team that you turn out to be. And week 1 is a little bit of an anomaly because everyone's healthy as well, or as healthy as they can be going into week 1. And it's just totally different from what you see towards the end of the season. So week 1 is always hard to judge and try to pick a winner. And so I'm going to try my best here because I think this is a very interesting matchup. Both these teams had very interesting years. I will say that the Cleveland Browns, I thought, had an impressive year. They were juggling a quarterback situation, a scenario, and they were able to still get 11 wins. Now, it didn't go their way, obviously. They went on the road to play Houston in the wild card, and they got stomped, kind of something we're familiar with. But they went through a lot of changes in the offseason. 3 coordinators were replaced, and now you're bringing in new systems. Now you're still under coach Kevin Stefanski, who's been there for a few years. So it's going to be, I know Browns fans are looking at this and hoping for it to be a good year, just the same way that the Cowboy fans are looking at us wanting it to be a good year as well. But let's go a little bit into history before we dive into this game. Last time these two teams played was COVID season. It was a wild one. Baker Mayfield, OBJ, Mike Nolan was our defensive coordinator. Dak Prescott was having an incredible season before he had the leg injury, before he had the ankle injury against the Giants, and a few weeks later. Browns won that one 49-38. It was a wild one. It was going back. It was a shootout. There's a few fans in the stadium. Just a really odd game. And fun fact about this, I actually never watched this game. I never did. I was actually on my way here to Arkansas. At the time, I lived in New Mexico, but we were visiting my wife's side of the family here in Arkansas, which I'm located now. But I actually had to listen to the whole game on the radio, and it was one of the rare times. I honestly can tell you, I could count on my hand one hand the amount of times I've listened to a whole Cowboys game on the radio, and it was torture. Not because Brad, Sham, and Babe are really bad at what they're doing on 105.3 The Fan. Just, it's agonizing not being able to watch your team and you're just listening to it. But anyways, crazy game. But check this. Last time the Dallas Cowboys opened in Cleveland was actually back in 2008. Now, that's a totally different team, right? That's Wade Phillips, that's Tony Romo, Terrell Owens, Marion Barber, just a completely different team. However, they did win. They won 28-10, and again, that was a completely different Cleveland Browns team, different decade. But, hey, man, that was the last time we opened in Cleveland, and we won. But here we go, guys. I kind of mentioned it. Last season, Cowboys went 12-5. Browns went 11-6. So one game difference. I mean, and for the Browns to achieve that with their quarterback situation, with Deshaun Watson getting injured and then having to go with Joe Flacco, speaks a lot to this type of team. And you're keeping those players still in the mix. Not a lot of players are different for the Cleveland Browns than they were last year, except obviously Nick Chubb's going to be not playing in this game. He's been placed on IR for those first 4 weeks of the season. So really impressive when you can juggle quarterbacks and still find a way to be an 11-win football team. So I'll tip my hat to that. And you guys know me. With these, I'm never going to try to come off too strong as Cowboys are going to win. Cowboys are going to win. No, I'm always going to try to see their side of it and be unbiased and realistic. And on the other side, the Cowboys were 12-5, right? So let's take a quick look at the road and home records here. The home and road records for the Cowboys and the Browns last season. Most notably, I'm looking at the Cowboys, right? They were 3-5 on the road, and if you guys have been watching me for years, seasons, you know I'm really adamant about winning on the road. It's been a long time since the Cowboys have been very successful on the road. Really hoping that changes this year because I really feel like the Cowboys may have an easier, maybe not easier, but less challenging path on the road than at home because, we're 16-1 at home in the past 17 games, and we've been dominant, but it really comes down to the opponents that come to AT&T Stadium. So here on the road, I really hope that changes. The year before that, we went 5-5 if you include the playoffs. In the regular season, we were 4-4. So a lot of mediocrity there. I would love to see a winning record this year, and I think it's totally achievable. I mean, Mike McCarthy talked about it a few days ago, how he's implemented a new road game plan for this team on top of already having a 21 game plan in mind that takes us all the way to the Super Bowl. So I really hope what he is implementing works so the Cowboys can actually win some games on the road, because I think that's really a big thing for a team with identity. And, I'm just going to drop the ball here. I think the Cowboys are going to be on the road if and when they go to the playoffs. So it's going to be really important for them to be a road team. Now, on the other side of it, Browns are dominant. They were dominant last season at home. 8-1 home record. Really one of the better teams at home. Flies under the radar just because they're the Cleveland Browns, unfortunately. But this team is no joke. I mean, they beat the 49ers, and I know they were dealing with injuries, but they beat the 49ers at home. And that's a tough environment to go into. So the Cowboys, already knowing that they're a struggling road team from last season and the year before, now they take on a really dominant team and an opponent that they don't normally see. You have to take that into account too with these type of games, these out-of-conference matchups that we see. And we see the AFC North every 4 years. This is a toss-up, really. It's really difficult to gauge this game because it's a season opener. There's no statistics or information on what this team's going to do. There's a hint of what we know that they can do based on the players that we see there because obviously the previous years. And on top of that, it's just we don't see the Browns. Like I said, last time we saw the Browns, Baker Mayfield was their quarterback and OBJ was their wide receiver. So those are the obstacles. That's the challenge. We really have to see a change in this Cowboys team the start of week 1, going to Cleveland and beating the Browns, who are a really aggressive, physical team. I mean, I'm kind of naming all these things that are kind of the kryptonite for the Dallas Cowboys. You guys heard me say it previous years. The Cowboys are finesse. They're not physical enough. They're passive. They're not aggressive enough. They're a home team. They're not a road team. And so week 1, we're thrown into the mix of it. going to Cleveland and having to beat a pretty solid physical team. Now, if the Cowboys can come away with a win, I mean, that's actually a really big confidence boost for this Dallas Cowboys team if they can manage to get a win here, and I think it's totally possible. So let's go and jump in like we always do. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content as we finally dive into this pregame prediction video. As we always do, we look at the Cowboys defense and the Browns offense, and usually at this portion, I would throw up a graphic that shows where their ranks are. But of course, guys, it's week 1. No statistics yet, and I'm not about to throw up something from preseason or anything like that, and especially not anything from last year. So, again, no stats. This is going to be a difficult game to choose for a lot of people, just because not a lot of stats, not a lot of records on this. But I can tell you, the Cleveland Browns, they're stacked talent-wise. You got Deshaun Watson. However, he has not played since sustaining an injury last year, but with 6-1 as a starter, I mean, that's good. And we all know what Deshaun Watson is capable of, and for some reason, he has some of the best games of his career when he faces the Cowboys. Had one when we played him on Sunday Night Football when he was with Houston and DeAndre Hopkins was his wide receiver. They ended up winning that game over the Cowboys. No Nick Chubb like I talked about, but Jerome Ford kind of gives me flashbacks of Henderson running against us in the divisional playoffs for the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, Jerome Ford, even though he's going to get most of the carries here, again, another challenge has been this run defense for the Dallas Cowboys. On top of having Mike Zimmer be your new defensive coordinator, and we put a lot of emphasis on that defensive line, really a tall task here in week 1 to be able to stop the run. And the Browns can still run the football without Nick Chubb. They have a committee of running backs that can get that running game. And I always feel like the Cowboys struggle with the running quarterback. I feel like they got a little bit better last year, but Dan Quinn was the defense coordinator. Now we got Mike Zimmer, so totally different system. But Deshaun Watson, he could hit you with both, right? He's really good with his legs, and if we can contain that, that will be a huge advantage for this defense. Now, that's the running back. That's the quarterback. Njoku, their tight end, is a menace. One of my favorite tight ends personally in the National Football League. Just a true menace. So our safeties, no Jaron Kearse, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker. Tall task for this defense to be able to hold down a pretty good tight end. And then Jerry Jeudy is that new addition. And, of course, Amari Cooper. Yeah, elephant in the room, right? Cowboys traded Amari Cooper to Cleveland Browns for a bag of chips. And if you ask Cowboys Nation, we're still salty about it. Yes, I am. It should have never happened before. But yes, Amari Cooper, this is his first time facing his former team since the trade, and you best believe he wants a big game, and I'll tell you what, he is more than capable of giving a big game. You just have to see how he ended the season last season. He went off, tremendous game, so this is a tall task, and this is where my first big worry comes from for this defense. This secondary. Look, defensive line, I feel like actually might be fine. I'm actually pretty confident in this defensive line with the new acquisitions that we made with Jordan Phillips, and obviously we have Osa Odighizuwa, DeMarcus Lawrence, Chauncey Golston, Micah Parsons. Like, I feel pretty good. Linebackers, I think we should have more depth there. I like Eric Kendricks, but I just don't know if he can sustain a full season. But biggest concern here is the secondary. Trayvon Diggs, man. Trayvon Diggs. I got his jersey right here, and I've been vocal about it. Trayvon Diggs is my favorite player on the Dallas Cowboys, and I was heartbroken, man. I was heartbroken when he was injured and couldn't play the rest of the season. But coming off an ACL injury, look, unbiased and realistic, right? It is unheard of for a player to return to their natural form before the injury, post ACL injury. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope I eat crow and I'm wrong more than ever. But there tends to be, at least, even if they do get there tends to be some learning pains and a little bit of, gradual recovery to get back to their normal self. So, okay, Trayvon Diggs is back. I'm excited. I'm going to be cheering him on. But you best believe the Cleveland Browns are going to try that side, especially against Amari Cooper, who is a route runner juggernaut. I'm going to tell you, I think Coop's going to have a big game. I think Coop's going to get his against Trayvon Diggs, and it's going to be something to watch. Now, on the other side, Jerry Jeudy obviously didn't work out for him in Denver, but still has potential to be that wide receiver that can go up and get the ball. No, DaRon Bland, out 6 to 8 weeks due to that phantom mysterious injury that he had. Now you give it to Kalen Carson. Look, Kalen Carson, rookie, being asked a lot here to step up in week 1. I'm wishing the best for him, but again, unbiased and realistic, it's a lot to ask of a rookie to take on in week 1. There's going to be some learning pains. There's going to be some growing pains until DaRon Bland comes back. Now, Kalen Carson had a great training camp, had a pretty good preseason. So the potential's there. And you know what? I feel pretty good because we have a really good assistant defensive coach. I mean, we got a really good defensive back coach in Al Harris, and I would expect him to coach these guys up and give us a valiant effort. But that's really one of my biggest concerns going into this matchup is Deshaun Watson isn't the best passer. I mean, but when he gets going and when he's on the money, he can really make you pay. And I feel like this is a matchup for the Browns offensively that they can take advantage of. If I feel like we're going to be able to stop the run. I'm not really worried about the run going into week 1. I'm really worried about Njoku, Coop, Jeudy, and Deshaun Watson getting into rhythm and finding their way against this defense that is still fairly new, right? Like Zimmer, this is his first season. So Zimmer has these new things. We just don't know what to expect of Zimmer. We can hope to expect good things from Mike Zimmer. And look, Coach Zim, he's got some ego. He's got some confidence. But just how far is that going to take this defense to actually be where we need them to be? Back to that, dominant defense that takes the ball away, interceptions, fumbles, and shuts down the opponent. We just don't know yet until we see it. And, I'm a little bit hesitant, because last time we were in this situation was before Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy brought in Mike Nolan, and that was a painful year. So concern about this defense. I'm really hoping for the best, but those are my concerns. I laid out there, but of course we have mother flipping Micah Parsons, and I expect him to be moving around. Zim's got to use him, move him around, get those sacks, get that pressure. So really excited more than anything to see what this defense, because I think what you see from this defense in week 1 is most likely going to be this defense. I know that's pretty bold, and I know it's going to change, and they're going to grow and all that kind of stuff. But if it's bad, it might just be that defense, and Dak may have to just sling it the rest of the season. Or if there's moments where we take the ball away and we get pressure and we can take the pressure off the secondary of covering, then okay, I think we can make it happen, and I think we can have a pretty good season. But really, I can't wait to see what this defense does. Really big expectations for this defense. So as we always do, let's go ahead and jump into our defensive predictions, and I got a few of them. DeMarvion Overshown is back after sustaining that injury that he did last preseason. I think he's going to be a stud this year, and he's going to be very vital to this defense. And you know what? I'm going to give DeMarvion Overshown an interception. I am predicting it, and I think it's going to be like a tip. It's going to be tipped to the line, and Overshown's going to grab it, and I think this defense gets a takeaway, gets a turnover on week 1, and it goes to Overshown. So welcome back, number 13. Next thing is I do think Micah Parsons gets a sack. I think that's a gimme most of the time, but I think this game, and I'm kind of giving away my main predictions here later, but this game's going to be close. And I think this Micah Parsons sack comes at a very crucial, vital moment to open up the regular season. So just be on the lookout for that. I think Micah Parsons shows up in a big way like he always does. And then lastly, I thought about this and I'm like, I always give you guys kind of like good, predictions in the sense like, I hope this happens and all the, good Cowboy stuff. But I do think one of my predictions, I think the secondary struggles. I know. I think they give up some yards. I think Deshaun Watson has a pretty solid day in the air. I think Kalen Carson is tested. I think Trayvon Diggs has a little bit of growing pains coming back and trying to get back to football speed. So I do, just bear with this secondary. Obviously be without DaRon Bland. I know we still got Jordan Lewis, but I just expect a little bit of growing pains from this secondary. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content. Next up, we are going to be talking about this Cowboys offense versus this Browns defense. Again, no stats, kind of just our hunch about what's going to be happening in week 1. But let me tell you something. Look, when I made a season prediction video back in March when the season schedule released, I was very mad at this team. I'm still mad at this team for what happened in Green Bay. And I've admitted my concerns that I think might happen with this defense, and we'll just have to see and play the season out and see what happens. But I will say, as the season has gotten closer, my confidence in this offense is as strong as a rock. I feel very confident in this offense to be able to do what they did last season and build on top of it. I feel confident in Dak Prescott continuing his mad success that he had last season and the year before. I feel weirdly confident about this offensive line, and hear me out. I know people are stressing about losing Tyron Smith, and trust me, that's a huge loss. But I think we went out there and drafted a really solid talent that can grow and be a cornerstone for this offensive line in Tyler Guyton, our first-round draft pick. No Tyler Biadasz, right? Went to the Washington Commanders. Well, I really like Cooper Beebe. I really like what he brings to the table, has a lot of confidence, a lot of potential there, and I think he can most likely replicate what Tyler Biadasz gave us. Now, I do have a little bit of concern with Terrence Steele on the right, and I think for the most part, there'll be a little bit of a struggle on that right side. But that's how I feel about this offensive line. You look at our tight ends. I really think Jake Ferguson's going to jump off the map here. It just really stand out as one of the better tight ends in the National Football League. You look at our wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb is signed. He's back, and CeeDee's going to be number 88. Brandon Cooks, the archer, we all know what he can provide, and he's going to be getting open for Dak Prescott most of the time. And then Jalen Tolbert, I think he's going to have a great season. Tolbert season, am I right? Michael Gallup retires, but I think Tolbert can replicate what Gallup left on the field. And last, the running back room. The running back room, of course, we have our concerns. People think there needs to be a running back one. I like this room. I think if you look at what Tony Pollard gave this team offensively, I think the room that you have the running backs, you got Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Deuce Vaughn. I think those guys can replicate what Tony Pollard did exactly last year. And I think in situations where we needed short yardage situations, look, if we have Dalvin Cook, if we have Ezekiel Elliott when we go to Miami, we're winning that game because Hunter Lipke isn't fumbling that ball because it's going to be Zeke or Dalvin Cook that's going to run that in. So I think our short yardage situations, especially at the goal line in the red zone, are going to be resolved if the Cowboys use Zeke and Dalvin Cook wisely. And I really like the speed if we begin to use Vaughn a lot more than what we did last season. The same way maybe that we had kind of used Kavonte Turpin as well. Look, I went through a lot of question marks that a lot of people had about this Cowboys offense all offseason long. I'm here to tell you, I feel good about where we're at. I think Brian Schottenheimer is a great offensive coordinator, and Mike McCarthy, he can get in his bag as an offensive coordinator. So I really expect this offense to start off week 1 and start off this season with a bang. And I think it's going to be fireworks from this offense in week 1. They're going to ball out. You're going to see them do exactly what they did last season, especially against this good Browns defense. This Browns defense is no joke. They have one of the better secondaries in the National Football League, but we've seen the Cowboys not be afraid to throw the ball against good secondary. So I'm really excited for this matchup, but that's just how I feel about this offense going into week 1. And so offensive predictions. Here we go. Week 1, Cowboys, Browns. What do I have to say about this offense? I think Dak Prescott has a pretty good game. And like I said, I expect this offense to not skip a beat. I expect them to pick up the pace and rhythm that they had last year in the offseason. And so I'm going to go Dak Prescott throwing 3 touchdowns. I do believe he throws over 250 yards. And you know what? Just because this Browns defense is really good, physical, aggressive, I'll give him a turnover. I think Dak does throw an interception early in the game, but Dak Prescott does have a solid outing and proves that this guy mans this offense. On top of that, CeeDee Lamb obviously got the extension. He's going to be in Dallas for years to come. Give me an 88 touchdown. And like I said, I'm expecting a big season from Jake Ferguson. So give me a Fergie touchdown to throw on top of it. And last but not least, Rico Dowdle will get in the end zone on Sunday against the Browns. And those are my offensive and defensive predictions. Be sure to comment down yours below for this week 1 matchup. That is going to be very exciting. I think on top of the Texans and Colts game that I think is going to be pretty exciting, Jets and 49ers is going to be good. Rams and Lions is going to be good. Cowboys and Browns is high up there, and I think it's going to be a competitive game. And it's going to go back and forth, obviously, on Fox, Tom Brady's broadcast debut. It's going to be a major game. Everyone's going to be watching. And so, obviously, disclaimer, I said this at the beginning of the video. I'll say it again. This is week 1. So, if they win, and if the Cowboys win in a big way, don't overreact. It's a long season. A lot changes for many different reasons. If the Cowboys lose in a big way, don't overreact. I say this every week 1, but, just because we've seen that time and time again where the Cowboys lay an egg in week 1, it's just not the team that you see for the rest of the season. I mean, the Cowboys-Bucks game from a couple years ago, Cowboys lost 19-3. You go back to Romo days, 2014, Cowboys-49ers. 49ers beat up the Cowboys. Cowboys went 12-4, and their season ended in Green Bay in the divisional playoffs. So week 1 isn't always the best marker to, kind of jump all in or jump all out or whatever it may be. But it is. There are some things that I mentioned in this video. The defense is definitely something to look at, and just to see how good this offense can be. And obviously seeing Ezekiel Elliott back with this offense is going to be fun. I know I predicted Rico Dowdle to get in the end zone, but that would be really cool to see Ezekiel Elliott gets in. But I think he gets in. I think he saves it for AT&T Stadium because that'll be a really special moment. But here we go. End of the video. You guys have watched thus far, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining me for another season. We have almost 3,000 subscribers, and that's awesome. I remember starting this channel just with my iPhone, and then we grew, and I'm just so happy to be here, and thank you so much for watching wherever you found me, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, X. We're going to have a really fun season no matter what happens. I'm going to be here with you guys every post-game reaction, trust me. So here we go. Game prediction for the Cowboys and the Browns. Dallas Cowboys are traveling to Cleveland for a week 1 season opener. So here we go. What do I think? What do I think is going to happen in week 1? Well, look, I made a season prediction video back in March, and again, I was still mad. I'll admit it. I was mad at this team. I'm still mad at this team. And I had picked the Cowboys to lose. I said, ain't no way. Obviously going up against Myles Garrett in this defense, and I thought that this Cowboys, I think everything on paper, statistically, if we can look at that, the way that the Cowboys struggle on the road, now they're going into Cleveland where the Browns have been dominant at home. They have a great defense, and they have an offense with a lot of weapons. On paper, this looks like a Browns win more than anything. It looks like Cleveland might just take the Cowboys to the shed, and the Cowboys may just plop one here in week 1, and it may not look pretty. That's what the paper says. That's what the stats say. And you know what? I was leaning towards that way. I really wanted to, actually. I really wanted to lean into that prediction. And because sometimes it's safer to say the Cowboys are going to lose in week 1 than betting on them to win, because it's been such a crazy offseason and people not getting signed and people getting signed into the last bit. Like, it's been crazy. But look, I got a gut feeling. And I'm going to chase that gut feeling. I know paper says that the Browns are good at home and they got a good defense, and our Cowboys offense, well, they got a lot of stuff to figure out. Well, you know what? To hell with it. I think that this is going to be the game of the week. I think this is going to be a fireworks show. I actually think both these offenses are going to go off and we get a shootout to start off the season in Cleveland between the Cowboys and the Browns. I think it's a duel between Watson and Dak and last man standing. Who do I think the last man standing is? I do believe that the Cowboys are going to score a touchdown to take the lead late in the game, and it's going to be on this defense to seal the win in Cleveland on the road. So yes, I got the Cowboys winning against all the odds, and I know they're underdogs, and I know the Cowboys, a lot of people aren't expecting the Cowboys to do much this year, but I believe that they win week 1 in a shootout. I'm choosing the Dallas Cowboys 37-34 over the Cleveland Browns. So there you have it. Game prediction. I want to know yours. Be sure to comment down below your offensive predictions, your defensive predictions, and most importantly, your game prediction. And as always, check out the Madden prediction. Check out the week 1 picks for the rest of the NFL schedule. And guys, football's back. Cowboys football is back. It's a celebratory weekend, and hopefully we can cap it off with the win. But be sure to follow me, TikTok, Instagram, X, and be sure to subscribe and hit that button here at YouTube. And of course, I will see you after the game on Sunday for our post-game reaction video. See you then. Go Cowboys!